Making long-term retirement decisions in today's risky market is a challenge. That's why so many smart, logical retirees in Gilbert are making the move for their 401k and IRA rollovers to licensed retirement specialist and fiduciary Steve Jur-itch with IQ Wealth Management in Scottsdale. Steve is a Kiplinger contributor and host of the popular daily radio show Mastering Money on Money Radio. Let's listen in on a recent broadcast. At any point throughout, you can visit our website by clicking the little circle with the I in the top right corner.
Mastering Money is brought to you daily by best-selling author and wealth manager Steve Jur-itch.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Steve is founder of IQ Wealth Management in Scottsdale, an independent registered investment advisor and fiduciary with asset custodian Fidelity Institutional. Steve is a local hometown advisor with national resources working with him and is part of an integrated financial network providing a solid succession plan, including Sterling Capital with more than $52 billion under management and more than 35 CFAs. He is the designer of the Black Diamond Dividend Strategy. It's time now for the Mastering Money Q&A session. The idea of moving away from risk and more into safety and income as a person nears retirement is probably the most sensible advice anybody could follow.
Yeah, I think so.
But the traditional fixed income asset that has been used for so long to provide safety and income isn't getting the job done.
Yeah, bonds.
How does a person target date their portfolio without kidding themselves about the assets they own and the tools they're trying to use?
Boy, that's a great point. You know, the fact is that for years, for decades, generations, when people retired, they simply rotated from stocks to bonds. I mean, many people, when I first got in the business over 20 years ago, began in real estate and switched into financial planning back in the early 90s. And the fact is that people all owned muni bonds. And they didn't have big 401ks back then, in the early, mid-90s. They were starting to get them, but more and more, the people who have larger 401ks now, 300,000 to $1 million, they were people who were in their 20s, 30s, and 40s back during the 80s and 90s. And then they just kept tucking away, and pretty soon you wake up one day and you have a pretty big 401k. The old idea used to be make all you can all you make, and then sit on your can. That was what retirement was, right? And you basically would switch over into bonds, and munis were paying 5% tax-free outside of an IRA. Inside an IRA, people were buying government bonds, 6 to 10%. I mean, it really was just back in the 80s and 90s when all the textbooks that a lot of financial advisors, I even hear on the radio, are talking, when they actually recommend bonds and bond funds. What are you thinking about? I mean, the fact is that a bond, you have to look at it and forget the terminology for a moment. Would you want to own an instrument right now paying you 0.25 of a point to 2.5%? If 2.5% is if you lock in for 10 years. And if interest rates go up in the general economy, if Yellen's activities or anybody else's go up, that you would lose money. I mean, if you're a logical person, why in the world would you own a bond fund or bond ETF right now? The fact of the matter is that this could be the 1929 of the bond market. We're just sitting here kind of hovering in this low interest rate range. But in a target date fund, what they do, of course, is give you a percentage of what? Bond funds. These things can be poison. And the fact is that you are sitting there accepting 20, they give you a date, and then you get, say, 55% stocks, 45% bonds if you go by the book. Don't go by the book. Go by your risk tolerance and time horizon. Use your logic. If you're an engineer, if you're a professional who has been gathering money and accumulating money all these years, don't shut your brain off. Turn it on and say to yourself, what in the world would I want that big pile of bond funds for? So the fact is that it is absolutely a correct statement what you said there, Ken. The thing we call bonds is no longer capable of providing the function that it provided 20 years ago.
To learn more about making the move for your 401k and IRA rollovers, or to hear the rest of the show, click the link to visit the IQ Wealth Management website. Click the link now if you want to retire and stay retired with the right strategy for you. Take a few seconds and click on the website link now.